Hi everybody, I'm Sherry, and today I wanted to give you some insights on the topic of communication, which is huge. It is one of, I think, the most important business skills that you can have, or really life skills to have, is to be an effective communicator. I was doing a little bit of research as I was putting together my coaching modules for 2024, and one of the things that I took note of was that 60% on LinkedIn, I think it was a LinkedIn survey, 60% of the respondents said that they felt like they were not strong in communication skills. And the other statistic that you can put up against that was that 90% of the job openings listed communication skills as either a required or a preferred skill. So it's very important in teams, entrepreneurship, wherever you are within the corporate ladder, or even if you work alone, you eventually, if you want to move your ideas forward and you want to do it, authentic human communication is going to become more and more valued. So one of the things that I like to think about is, how can we be more effective with our communication, and how can we understand others better so that when we're communicating to them, we are getting through. Rather than resistance, we have realizations. And so there's a few effective ways that I have found leading teams that you can do that, and I'd like to share some of those with you today. Okay, so one of the key things that we want to be thinking about with communication is, what is the goal of this current communication that I find myself in? Am I trying to transfer knowledge to the person I'm communicating with? Am I trying to understand an idea that they're communicating to me? Are we trying to find some common ground because we're at odds? And so there's a lot of different things that I like to think about before I even have a meeting with someone about what goals I want to have, so that I make sure that I am keeping myself in the right frame of mind to reach my goals in the communication interaction. Otherwise, sometimes you can get hijacked and you find that you've spent a lot of time, but you haven't been able to communicate what you really wanted to get across. So that's something important to just think about before any interpersonal communication even takes place. Another interesting thing to consider when you are leading teams is that different personality types, and this is something that I do cover, and I've done some other videos on personality types, but different personality types absorb the communication differently. No big surprise there. But something to keep in mind is that the introverts and the thinkers, so in the Myers-Briggs, the category of thinking and feeling, those types that have the introvert and the thinking key characteristics are not going to be as effective in reading other people's body language. And this is really key when you have in-person communication, where body language is sometimes a very important part. And the extroverts and the feelers, no big surprise there, that the intuitives and the extroverts and the feelers all were more effective at reading body language. So it's important to think about, because I know a lot of big corporations build their teams and they go into these big meetings, and you definitely need someone in the room that's effective at reading other people's body language, because they can help cue your team to be effective. And that's a communications tip that a lot of people don't even think about. When it comes to being effective with interpersonal communication, I have, through the years, found that a lot of parenting techniques can transfer well into the workplace, as well as a lot of workplace techniques can transfer into the home environment. And so I have a couple of books. One is a book that I have been referencing for years and bought it as a young parent, and it's called how to talk so people will listen, or kids in this case, and listen so kids will talk. And you can see it's dog-eared and well used through the years. I think there's a more updated addition to it, but I wanted to give a shout out to Adele Fabar and Elaine Maslish, who have written several books along this theme, and this one is really great. So I wanted to give you a tip or two tips that have come out of that parenting book for communications, and I've applied it in business quite a bit. Tip number 1 is no one wants to be told something that they already know. So it's a subtle sign of distrust. So one of the recommendations that they offer in the book is that can you frame your reminder as a question, and can it be neutral? So you kind of want to think about that. An example might be, maybe there's a report due on Friday and you're in your Tuesday meeting with the individual. So rather than saying, the report's due on Friday, which is not a great way to communicate trust because obviously they know it's due, you can reword it as a question and perhaps say, is there anything that I can provide to you for the report due on Friday? That opens it up. It also gives them a reminder if they forgot, and it's neutral. So that's a tip from parenting that I have transferred into the workplace. The other one is that it's always good to give people options, just like a toddler. So you think about that. You can apply that in a lot of instances. Would you like to meet in person or via Zoom? Those types of things can help others create a sense of control and balance and feel more authoritative in their ability to make decisions and to offer decisions. So you want to encourage decision making and communicating those decisions back and forth. All right. I hope that helps, and thanks to my parenting books.